Johnny Fontana, Real World NF Scorpio, back with another video.
Should it be any surprise then that within these sorts of environments of social media, be it here on YouTube or more pressingly in places such as Facebook or Twitter, that in addition to the sorts of ideological pandering and the sorts of rigging of the game that those who sit atop these monoliths of communication are actually engaging in, that the natures themselves, the groups, the cliques, the discussions, that they seem to sort of homogenize in their own and become the same sorts of insular places which just validate beliefs while leaving very little, if any, room for debate or discussion.
I feel that we've reached a point where the online communities, for the most part, are doing a disservice to the intuitive, introverted feelers, specifically the INFJs, or those who identify with my personality type and my perceptions and my ideas, thoughts, and so forth and so on.
We know that exposure to social media, more precisely exposure to screen time, but not all screen time, but exposure to screen time and social media, we know that it tends to encourage depression, anxiety, suicide, and so on. Some numbers. We know that it enhances anxiety and depression. The Royal Society of Public Health published a study in June this year, June 2018, which found out that 63% of all Instagram users are unhappy. Now, we don't know whether unhappy people gravitate to Instagram or whether Instagram made them unhappy.
Yeah.
But since we have similar statistics for other social media, it would stand to reason that it's the platform that made them unhappy, not the other way.
And again, you know how in my past videos I've always discussed the 9%, right? It's just like that hunch, that gut feeling of like, something isn't going right? Something seems off, right? Because you just pick up on things. It's just how we are, because we're just in tune. All things socially speaking, right? So, for quite a few years, I'd say 4 years now, I've been ranting quietly, sometimes on video, with regards to how there seems to be just one space for those to seek solace, right? To seek safety in sort of dwelling, relating to others, right? And I get it. So I'm saying, so I'm not coming from a place where oh man, you should be ashamed of yourself for doing this. No, it's I get it, okay? But there's a point that I'm going to make, which is very important, okay? Especially to us as INFJs in understanding the bigger picture. When you go onto these forums, these online forums, these YouTube forums, it's you're met with one type, generally speaking, right? And I've discussed in my other videos the 3 types of INFJs, but for the most part, we're sort of drawn because we want to know about ourselves. We want to know, why are we the way we are? Why are we so weak? Why are we always thinking and over analyzing and overreacting to, when people say certain things and can become obsessed, I get it. It's there, Fortunately for me, I've had experiences and mentors in which they were able to help me. They were able to properly guide me. They saw these aspects, right? And they said, no, we're going to help you, right? By default, all right? It wasn't oh, you're an INFJ, so we're going to set you on the right path. It's no, based on my career endeavors, I've had the proper mentors that were okay, hey, you need to go out, go speak, go say, lead other people. You need to, when I wasn't being a supervisor, or I wasn't, leading properly, engaging, with my subordinates, my superiors, my managers sat me down and said, okay, hey, this is what you need to be doing. You need to be doing this. You need to be doing that, right? You need to open yourself up, and basically pushing me out there, right? And so when you come onto these online forums, you're met with a lot of people who are just seeking themselves instead of actually going out there and meeting mentors, meeting people who are going to push them, help them, right, grow. It's like we're coming on into forums, but we're being met with other people who are like us, and they're not really giving us the tools that we need. Yeah, they're actually helping us identify and understand, but not really understand the whys to move forward, but the whys, oh, you relate.
But agreeable people, especially if they're really agreeable, are so agreeable that they often don't even know what they want, because they're so accustomed to living for other people and to finding out what other people want and to trying to make them comfortable and so forth, that it's harder for them to find a sense of their own desires as they move through life. And that's not, look, there's situations where that's advantageous, but it's certainly not advantageous if you're going to try to forge yourself a career. That just doesn't work at all.
So that's why when you see on most responses, you can do your own search, Reddit, Personality Cafe, when an INFJ comes in and says, I feel this, I feel that, I feel that I'm suppressing even my laughter to the point where I'm placing my arm, and I'm being looked at as if I'm going to cannibalize, my entire arm because I'm suppressing my laughter and suppressing my emotions. You have now people who respond in a manner of, yes, I get it, I feel the same way, and then they go on to provide their own personal digest. Not really understanding that that's not normal behavior. This person is in a complex state and needs assistance, needs guidance, not just from online sources, but guidance in terms of being there with that person whenever these things occur. Hey, let's go ahead and just, bring it down a little bit. Let's go ahead and refocus. How are you feeling right now? Go and really hold that person's hand. But that person is not being met because one of the first questions that person asked was, how many of you relate?
But forget all this. There is a direct link established now beyond any doubt on 3 continents between this thing, anxiety, depression, and suicide. The most frightening thing for any of us is to be ostracized, to be excommunicated, not to belong. It's absolutely by far the most frightening thing. We can look at history. People prefer to die just not to leave the community. The biggest weapon of the Catholic Church for 400 years was not burning on the stake, auto da fe. It was excommunication. If I was threatened with lack of food, or no one will talk to me for 10 years, but I mean no one, not even you, no one. I don't know what I would have chosen. Yeah. I think I would have chosen to go hungry. Yeah. It's nothing more frightening.
It's brutal.
And then he went on to say, well, how do I sort of get away from this? But people aren't actually providing that. And then you have someone else who writes, oh, I'm in a constant suppressive state. That's who I am by nature. So people thrive, and they I wouldn't say they enjoy it, but it's what's there to provide them that sort of comfort, understanding that, yeah, like I'm the same way, we're the same way, we're here. Like, listen to this.
But in the meantime, all of their established beliefs, which drew them there in the first place, only become more and more validated. They get reassurances at every turn, not allowing for any actual intellectual growth, not really allowing for a challenging or refining of those ideas, and oftentimes driving home the notions that they are so absolutely correct that even engaging or pondering or considering notions which fall outside of those, that it's not even worth it. And my only conclusion with this, again, no proof, it's just sort of a hypothesis, is that a lot of this actually came out of the forums and communities that had formed up around the idea itself. The nature of these sorts of communities, the creation of the echo chambers and their validation and reassurance of ideas, which in turn sort of insulates the community even further, does seem to have some seriously nasty side effects, which we're increasingly notice as polarization between left and right and polarization between differing ideas continues to grow. The entrenchment of one's belief system has become something that is almost sacred, and as sacred as the ideas themselves, not really facilitating much in the way of open discussion or debate, let alone a refining of understanding or finding of common ground between polar opposites to begin with.
You see what I'm saying to you? Like, I'm not the only one. So, going back to what I was saying in terms of the 9%, I was like, man, it just feels weird because people are going to these forums and it doesn't seem as if there's anything positive from these extreme, like these. Like, to this person, I'm not saying in terms of someone asking for, hey, do you relate to this or whatever. I'm talking about in terms of someone saying that they are to the point of chewing off their arms because they are suppressing themselves from laughing or whatever, and they just, whatever. And they're met with answers that are not actually guided answers, but answers of other people providing their own, reflect in order to better relate to that person. That person's gonna go, okay, and just feel that, oh, okay, other people are like me. And that's why you see online often, oh, now I know because it's so great to have, a fellow INFJs because now I know, I'm not alone.
Either which way, if you are suicidal or you think you're suicidal or you're pretending to be suicidal, get the fuck off the internet. Go outside. Go talk with close friends. Talk with family. Talk with someone. Just get off of social media. That being the case then, why is this not the narrative that's being forwarded? Why is it that on social media, especially when it comes to the emotionally sensitive and hypersensitive and over-emotional or vulnerable, that everyone universally is expected to walk on eggshells in an attempt to cater to these desires and demands without ever taking the time to try and make them actually feel powerful or emboldened?
There's a rule if you're working in a place like a nursing home, and the rule is, it's a harsh rule, do not do anything for the people that you're taking care of that they can do for themselves. And so if they have to struggle to feed themselves, you don't bloody well intervene and feed them. You let them maintain their damn independence. And you have to be a hard-hearted bastard to do that, to watch someone struggle like that. But you're furthering their medium to long-term independence and development, and you do the same thing with your children. Treating your children like they're endless permanent victims is a very bad idea. And I think that's part of what's also being taught. We also know that the kids who are more likely to be rabidly politically correct, one of the reasons that they're more likely to be that way is because they were taught to be that way.
But at the end of the day, how is your intuition? Are you doing anything in order to promote further development? Okay, how are you improving your SE? Okay, how are you improving your ability to figure out the differences between, someone who's interested in this but may not be able to focus, and you now have to lead that person based on your own experiences and bring them closer to their own goals and they're based on their challenges, right? Like, how are you? So before, in my previous video, when I said, hey, I threw a rock, I said, hey, what are you guys doing to sharpen your skills? Oh, I don't do anything to sharpen my skills. I don't do nothing. So then again, you're revealing the fact that you're not doing anything to sharpen your skills. And I received like numerous responses, like 2 pages worth of that. And so again, based on that 9%, I was like, man, like this is just whatever. And I received three, was it 3 or 2? 3 emails of people saying practically the same thing. Johnny, I really appreciate your videos. Again, I don't do it for views. I have like 100 subscribers. That's more than enough for me, and I thank you for that, right? But obviously these individuals were older, okay? And they were just so excited of the fact of like, or relieved rather, because most of them said the same thing. And they said, when we go online, it's like, I get it. I've been there. I am that. I've come to understand who I am. I'm an INFJ. But yet, I can't get anywhere beyond what these people are providing. And it's like, I am not broken. Well, I am broken, but I don't want to be thought of as broken. And all I'm met with online is just people who are just regurgitating the same thing that I've known. And there's no one that's actually helping me to grow, because I don't want to be broken. And that's what I say. It's like I feel bad because there's not a space for those who don't want to be in this space, right? Like they want to be able to engage with other developed INFJs who are like, hey, how did you actually surpass that? You know, how did you come forward? So when you have like people who are working and who are managers and who have incidents with people at their jobs, okay, and they really want some advice, not just from the average, oh, you know, don't talk to that person or stay away, and or you know, whether it be someone who's, you know, stressed out because that person's a freelancer and that person's artwork is being judged. And most of the responses, oh, you know, you're an artist, so therefore, you know, don't worry about what other people, you know, say. It's like, no, that's just what the average person will tell you. Just being dismissive. Oh, don't worry about what other people, you know, hold your own, keep your ground. It's like, no, it's like INFJs have a different approach, have a different perspective, have a different way about about doing things. So therefore, we need to provide that. Not in related form, but in a way, in a manner that really like goes underneath that surface and says, okay, well, no. Here's the thing. I get where you're coming from, you know. And listen, I know that I haven't, right, been providing like these really details, just because I've been going through different situations myself, and I've been reporting these, right? And I'd rather take that approach than to sit here and say, okay, this is how you do this, this is how you do that, because then I don't want to speak to you as if I'm like talking down to the people who are watching these videos. And that's another thing that one person mentioned. It's like, I feel like they're just dumbing us down. Like, because again, they feel broken. Like we know that we're broken, we're odd, we're strange. But yet when we come and we watch these things, and it's like you're watching someone who's just like, oh. And like they're just like, you can tell like there's something wrong with them. That they're not stable. Like they've gone through something, which is, I get it. But sometimes you want to be able to mirror an INFJ who's healthy, who, is not demonstrating, okay, that they've been through so much. Like they have that rock solid, hardcore way about them that you can follow, you can mirror, you can say, you know what, I want to be like that. I know that person's hurt, and I know that person has whatever that going on, but they're not showing us because they're here to lead. They're here to show us the way, right? Not to dumb us down, not to act as if that they're superior. No, but they're here because they're leading by example, right? And then once they're off the camera, they go through their stuff. But when on the camera, they have a role to play, and that's to help others who relate to the INFJ introverted, intuitive feeler type.
Most people don't give themselves enough credit all the time. They're very aware of these 20% things and not aware of the 80, right? And that's why the dosage is so important too. You've nailed it. It should be 80-20, right? Because people get addicted to this. I'm not good at this. People don't like this about me. I don't feel good. Instead of focusing on the 80 and stacking it up. Wow, I did eat what I said I was going to today. I did get up when I said I was going to. I made the amount of phone calls. I treated people in such a way I promised myself. It's not just doing those things. It's rewarding it. It's being aware of it and stacking that up. The secret key is to be able to shift that identity. 90, 100, 120. So some of the ways, strategies to do that are very simple. One is let's just say financially, you're a 200 degreer and I'm an 80 degreer. If I'm in your proximity over and over and over and over again, you will heat my identity up somewhere in between mine and yours to 150 degrees. Same in fitness, same in everything. So the more you can layer in multiple people, the stronger and stronger that force is. So that changes our thermostat through association. It's a huge, 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 huge thing. People say you are who the 5 people you hang around. This is why. They adjust your thermostat.
So what I'm saying is that I hear you. Like, I hear you. Like, I don't think it's going to change because, again, the internet is creating this space.
These things keep happening. But why is it that in general it seems that society has gone from a place in which we sort of respect and revere and elevate the aspects of our own common characters, which are the strongest and the best of us, to the point where we now seem to sort of almost obsessively dwell on that which we see to be the worst of us? We spend, as a society, it seems, so much time dwelling on the weakness, on the frailty, on the vulnerability of people who are either genuinely in shitty places. But all the same, when it comes to things like social media, when it comes to the topics of just general interaction with each other, it seems as though so many people are in a race to the bottom.
Okay? Like, some people are watching that, even the INFJs, and says, oh, well, it doesn't relate to us. It had nothing to do with us. And they'll dismiss it. Because, again, they find comfort in relating to others. One more video again.
I think that, as I said before, I think that social media is the most asocial, or even antisocial, invention ever. It atomized, pulverized, rendered the social fabric completely. For example, teens prefer to interact with other teens exclusively via social media. The number of face-to-face interactions among teens dropped by 70%, 70, not 7, 70, in the last 10 years. The amount of dating, teenagers, dropped by 63%. The amount of sexual encounters, blowjobs, you name it, dropped by 50%. In other words, teenagers have moved exclusively to social media. They no longer interact with each other, except via social media. There are numerous documented observations and cases of teenagers communicating via social media, sitting next to each other.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it all relates. Like, that's what, and the thing that bothers me is that we sit here and we read the book and we say, INFJs do this. We connect dots. We get this. We get this. But yet we miss the paradox, meaning that we do things, but we don't realize that we're actually taking steps back because we're not taking advantage of our abilities to now overcome these broken ways that we have. And it hurts me because then the other people who want to grow, want to move on, they don't have a space. Because when they come to this space, they're met with so many broken people. And there's nothing wrong with that. I feel that there needs to be a space for folks who are finding themselves. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I would never say we don't need a space for that, for people to heal, who are just in that space, that they're not really looking to really progress further. They're just, the fourth type of INFJ, they're just passing by. They just go through life. There's nothing wrong with just going through life. Just like how you at work. You have certain people who exceed, right? Certain people who are just there. They just show up, go to work, just like my uncle and certain people that I know. They're not really interested in going above and beyond. As long as they know they have their time off, they have their paycheck, they have their benefits, they come home, they watch TV, they have their shows, and they're good. They're not really interested in going beyond. So you have INFJs within every personality type. They're just interested in just going through life. But then you have others who want more than that. And unfortunately, they're met with more of those who are just finding themselves. Again, it's not to undermine these folks. And it's not to say that everyone who's finding themselves, okay, you listen to me. It's not to say that all those in this cart who's just seeking them to, or finding themselves aren't the types who actually want to go beyond. But unfortunately, we don't have the ones who have gone beyond come back and provide guidance and counsel, because every time they do, they're told to shut up and go away.
One joins a group on, well, again, Facebook, for instance, and spends their time just agreeing with, to certain degrees or another, the other people within the group. They will be expelled the moment they offer any sort of insights or opinions which fall outside of that norm.
And this is what social media is threatening you with. If you don't behave in certain ways, your likes will be nothing. Your likes will be minimal. You will not be retweeted. You will be ignored. You will be excommunicated. If you want to belong, this is what you have to do. If I put a banana peel, I will get more likes than if I put Aristotle's quote. If I don't use long words, I will be more popular. If I don't pretend that I know something, or if I don't tell people that I know something, I'll be... So you dumb down, and one of the things it does, it forces you to hide your true identity. Social media forces you to become not you, to deny critical aspects of you. If you're intelligent, you have to deny that. If you're empathic, you have to deny that. If you're compassionate, you have to deny that. If you are, so it forces you to conform to some kind of ideal that is essentially aggressive, regressive, infantile, and in one word, narcissist.
But it goes beyond that also into the lifestyle crowd. Now, recently with my video to incels, where I hope to offer some kind of insights and advice as much as I could to try and help what looked to me to be people who were genuinely suffering, I found the reaction to such rather interesting. While there were a good number of people who perhaps identified as incels or just had problems with things such as confidence coming and saying, "Thank you very much for this. I found this insightful and helpful, and I'm trying to rearrange my own thinking now." While those comments did come in and I appreciated them, there were also seemingly a sort of standard trickle of what seemed to be boilerplate talking points, rebuffing everything I said without really addressing it directly. And my only conclusion with this, again, no proof, it's just sort of a hypothesis, is that a lot of this actually came out of the forums and communities that had formed up around the idea itself.
And that is what needs to change as well. Because we cannot be those who say, oh, well, we help. But then when we come back to help, we're being told to go away and shut up. Like, how messed up is that? Like, we need to look at ourselves and really, like, take a deep look and be like, hey, like, that's not right, man. That's not cool. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to end off with this. I don't know who's watching this video. But at the end of the day, okay, like, most people aren't even doing this. Like, I'm talking to a camera. I don't even know who is watching this video. I have no idea. Like, why am I worried about other people who are not getting what they need on the internet? Like, think about that. Like, why am I investing my time when I can be studying right now? I can be reading a book. I can be cooking right now. I can be with my daughter. But no, instead I'm actually discussing my disappointment with the INFJ community. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I've come to terms with this is who I am. Like, this is odd, it's strange, it's weird in some people's views. But it's like at some point, like, you gotta wake up, bro. Like, you have to wake up. And the thing is, it's like, what bugs me is that we play special snowflake. We say we this, but then nobody is demonstrating these actual abilities beyond just, saying it on paper. And it's very frustrating because I have to hold back a lot. And the thing is that the reason why I hold back, especially on these forums, is because if I come in and I'm like, whoa, like, I see this. But then I'm going to be like the odd one because everyone's giving their own personal digest and I'm coming in here and says, no. All right. We have an issue here. Let's go ahead and just dissect it, whatever. People don't want to hear that. No, skip that. So I feel the same way. Like, I've gone through this and I've gone through that, and I totally get that. So that's what they want to hear.
Because conscientious people judge you on your accomplishments, right? They don't give a damn about your feelings, not a bit. It's like, are you doing the work or not? Whereas agreeable people think, well, your mother's sick and you've got a bunch of family problems and we all have to take care of each other and it's no wonder that you're having a rough time. And like, you can't say that one of those attitudes is correct and the other isn't correct. You can't say that. There wouldn't be those two dimensions if there wasn't something correct about both of them. But you can certainly point out that often they conflict.
You see what I'm saying to you? And so guess what? I feel alone myself. I feel alone. Because now it's like an inverse. Because I'm not going along with the whole I'm broken, woe is me. I'm still finding myself, which is fine. We can be broken. That can be a stage. But then now it's like stage 2, stage 3. Okay? Where do we go from there now? Like, yeah, I was there. And of course I go back to that place sometimes. Woe is me. Oh, no, I can't believe it. Then I have my wife, she helps me out. When I'm like, it's like, what's wrong? What's going on? You see what I'm saying to you? So I'm fortunate for that. But guess what? How did I attain my wife? How did I get to that point? Because again, I put myself out there. I said, okay, you have to go, you have to move, you have to push forward. And it's not going to come from online, like from other people who relate to your negative patterns, your unhealthy ways. It's not about that. And I keep saying I'm not going to make these videos and so forth, but again, we are INFJs, we intuitive, we pick up on patterns, we see these things. So how am I not supposed to say, I see these things? And that's what's frustrating, because it's like, how are we going to say to each other, we're all intuitives. Yeah, we see this, we feel this. We can detect this. We are good, at detecting lies and detecting patterns, and we see big picture. So then when I'm saying, hey, we're seeing this, I'm thinking, you see it too. But then no one's really saying anything about it. And I've seen it before when on Reddit, people say, I'm tired of coming to these forums because I'm tired of being, surrounded by this, that, and the third. I'm not broken. And then you have like 60 people that respond. I get it. I'm not. That's why I don't go to the INFJ forums, because of this, that, and the third, and the third. And then after that thread just goes away. And then comes back with the whole, I feel like killing myself. Like I'm done, And then those posts, instead of actually someone sending someone and saying, hey, listen, here's the line. Matter of fact, listen to this video.
We come to the reality that if you are an individual who is suicidal, who has suicidal tendencies, and I'm not speaking callously here, I'm actually speaking as somebody who in the past has put a gun in his own goddamn mouth. But if you are that kind of person, or you're the person who's in that kind of place, let me offer some advice. Social media and the internet in general, probably not where you want to be. But the most sensible thing in this case, though, is to actually both, as many of my own followers, many within the shitlord community especially, actually like to do, and not just to show up the social justice scene. But they actually like to do this. They say, if you or someone you know is having trouble and is considering suicide, here's a hotline to call. Stay the fuck off of social media and go get help. Now, If you're not the kind of person who's genuinely thinking of killing themselves, you're not actually, just loading a bullet into a gun, you're not looking at the bottle of pills and the gin on your nightstand. If you are the one who is just going on and saying, I feel bad, I wish I was just dead, get the fuck off of social media and go find help. Now, whether or not that help is just a smack in the head to remind you that life is actually quite often beautiful and worth fucking living, or that your attention whoring is going to get you less attention than simply being an awesome fucking person people want to be around, either which way, if you are suicidal or you think you're suicidal or you're pretending to be suicidal, get the fuck off the internet. Go outside. Go talk with close friends. Talk with family. Talk with someone. Just get off of social media.
You see what I'm saying to you? So I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. But anyway, again, it's to the point where you push someone far enough to the point where that person's like, you know what? Nothing's helping. It's a wrap. Because I'm not here to force anyone to do anything that they don't want to do. I'm here to help you help yourself. And if that's not the case, if you don't want to move and do anything productive beyond relating to people because that's your comfort zone, then guess what? That's not my problem. Johnny Fontana, Real World NF Scorpio, we out.